So about 6 months ago, I was talking about a thing called the radar, okay, of people. It was a 3-video thing that was entitled "People are either objects, subjects, or tolerable objects," or something, depending on how they treat you. And I want to kind of expand on that. And to be quite honest, it wasn't really an idea that I thought up on my own. There's a self-development company, we'll say, called Real Social Dynamics, and one of their concepts is a rule of thirds. They concentrate more on heterosexual guys trying to hook up with girls, but it can also be applied to real life. And what they preach is, like, they say, hey, a third of the women that a heterosexual guy will talk to, a third of them will not want anything to do with them. Another third will be like, crossing that bridge in between the friend zone and relationship material. And another third is like, no matter what happens, they're always going to be relationship material. Now, when I first read that, it actually made a lot of sense. And I actually started saying to myself, I'm like, wow, it's actually quite accurate. I mean, for every, we'll say 12 women I talk to, I do find myself saying, oh, there's like 4 of them that, like, just no matter what I do, that they just don't get it. They just won't. It's not gonna happen. Another 4 of them will be like, well, they seem pretty cool, but I'm not quite sure yet. And another 4, it's like, it's on. If I don't ask this girl out, then I need to be kicking myself in the shin for not doing it, because, like, there's a great golden opportunity there. And Lord knows I've missed out on a whole bunch of those. So then I started thinking to myself, and I started thinking, what if we can not only organize the members of the opposite sex that I'm meeting this way, but what about organizing people in general this way? And that's when I came up with the radar and the whole notion of, which is reworked. This is kind of like a Cliff Notes version of it. I'll give a link to all the other 3 videos in the description, but it's my idea that people are either objects that mean nothing to you, or what I call tolerants, that mean something to you but only in the moment, and subjects, meaning people who are important to you, depending on how they treat you, depending on whether or not their beliefs or way of life or values or passions or stuff like that, or actions are congruent to what you think can be helpful for you. This is why people say, oh, if you have like 1-2 really good friends, then you're doing really well, because that's the way it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to. Not everybody is supposed to be important to you. Not everybody is supposed to be close to you. And and for me, I organize everybody this way. Even family members, even people who are, who I guess culture kind of says are supposed to be important to you. A lot of times they're really not. I mean, let's look at my father's side of the family, who they live in Israel, and I remember, a lot of said family members, they kind of want me to be something that I don't really want to be. You know what I mean? I want to use my creative abilities and do what I can with them, whether it's making videos like this or maybe writing books one day. I don't know. I mean, I'm a creative person, and I do a lot of writing, so maybe I could be a writer. You know what I mean? But a lot of people on my dad's side of the family, they're like, no, you need a really good paying job, and you need to find a girlfriend, and then you need to find a wife, and you need to get married, because you're getting older and stuff like that. And I wanted to say to them at the time, I'm like, look, I got my whole life ahead of me. You know, men don't have a biological clock like women do when it comes to producing children. I mean, 20 years could go by, I could still produce a child. You know what I mean? Women can't do that. But that's a different discussion for a different day. So, you know, that it was based on that kind of a discourse. The fact that they didn't care for my hobby, which is video games and doing videos and bowling. You know, the fact that they didn't agree with my way of life, which is just, you know, make sure you bust your ass and make sure you have fun afterwards, and make sure you're balancing the two out, and one's never overlapping the other at a certain time. Like, I just spent like 3 days in a row off of work because I didn't want to work over the weekend because of, you know, it was going to be crazy at my job. So I just took a couple days off and I just hung out here and did nothing. But, you know, I'm ready to get back in it. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be punished for having that kind of belief. And those who agree with me are those who agree with me, those who are cool that they have earned the right to be close to me. Okay? And it's the same for me being tolerant to somebody. You know what I mean? It comes down to, what do you not tolerate, what do you tolerate but not admire, and then of course what you admire. You know what I mean? And if you can organize your beliefs like that, and of course, and your way of life and what your culture and everything like that, and make sure you're not socially conditioned with it. You know, when it comes to admiring somebody, do they have to be a part of your family? Absolutely not. And I would, like, since when did that ever become a prerequisite for have someone being important to you? I keep eyeing my water. So I'll drink some of it. You know, no. That's how it was for my mom. 15 years ago, my parents divorced. I thought my mom went from being, you know, in the center. Here, well, I'll go ahead and show the radar again. Show this in another video, but whatever. So, here we go. That S meaning subject, of course. T is tolerant, and O is object. So my mom, you know, before she divorced my dad, was in here along with my dad and with my best friends and all that stuff like that. And then you know, when she divorced my dad, she was kind of hanging out here for a little bit, and then she eventually worked her way up here because I got to know her a little bit. And then after my dad died, when I moved in with my mom and learned about her and learned about what she, you know, really got to know her on a really personal level, similar to my dad in between the 9 years that, you know, he divorced and died. You know, and then she moved up here, you know what I mean? And everything is free flowing. Every person you meet is just, they can go anywhere on the radar depending on how they prove themselves to you, you know what I mean? For example, a lot of homeless people who come to my job, trust me, they're out here. You know, I wouldn't even care if they died the next day. It wouldn't, I mean, as harsh as that sounds, they do a lot of really stupid shit that I don't agree with. You know what I mean? Like bothering other patrons, and, you know, just being, and just seeking an outcome. I don't like people who seek outcomes, and who do it in a creepy way. You know what I mean? It's one thing to announce that you want an outcome. It's another thing if let's say homeless guy comes to my job and he wants, and he's begging people for money. There's a girl who does this, and there's a couple of other guys who do that. They'll walk up to me and they'll be like, "Hey, I just want to get a couple dollars from a few of the patrons passing by. I'm going to try not to annoy anybody. I'm going to try not to be abrasive. But if you hear someone complaining, let me know so I can be on my way." You know what I mean? And if they say it like that and they're consummate about it and they're cool about it, that's okay. I don't mind expressed intent, as they would say in RSD. but it's when it's not expressed. It's when people like assume that you're just gonna deal with them. You know, that is the kind of thing I don't tolerate. You know what I mean? What do I tolerate? Pretty much anything, really. Anything that isn't creepy. Anything that isn't like creepy outcome seeking or approval seeking or anything like that. You know, and that's why I say you gotta have an open mind when you're going out and meeting people and when you're trying to overcome shyness. It's because, let me go ahead and, woo, yeah. Set this down to continue my video. That's why I say you gotta have an open mind, because then you get to tolerate people more. The more people you get to tolerate, the more opportunities you have for making decent friends, and it makes socializing a lot easier because you can accept more. You know what I mean? And this is why I really attack what they call social conditioning. It's because, you know, social conditioning is telling you how you should think and how you should group people, but shouldn't you be doing that yourself? Shouldn't you be using your own feelings and your own logic and your own senses and your own intuition, right? Now keep in mind, if you don't have good intuition about people, you may want to refrain from using this radar until you can come up with a good list of things that you can tolerate and things that you admire. And of course that outer object part's going to work itself out, because if someone possesses a trait that you just can't tolerate, then of course you're not going to want them in your life at all. You know what I mean? For example, I could tolerate expressed intent. You know what I mean? But unexpressed intent, or we'll say what I call abrasiveness, is when you express your intent to the point where you're trying to make noise and you're trying to impress people or impose your will, that kind of stuff. That I don't tolerate, because I don't like it when people are trying to be impressive, unless of course they can back up what they claim. You know what I mean? Like if someone comes up to me all bragging that they can get girls, you know, I'll kind of agree with them. I'll be like, yeah, you seem like you know how to. You seem like you got game. You're good, you know. But on the real, I'll be like, you know what? This guy is he's trying to prove to me that he's okay. You know what I mean? It's as if he's trying to argue his way out of being a closet homosexual. Now I'm going into a different topic here. All right. So I'm gonna end it there. And that kind of thing, like, I really don't care for. I don't care for people who try to impress others with possessions. I don't care for, let's see. I don't care for people who just, you know, bend over to social conditioning and they don't have an open mind. You know what I mean? So either way you can work it out. You gotta make either a list of stuff you just can't tolerate at all, and then work your way up from there, or find stuff that you tolerate and admire, and then it'll trickle down eventually. And that's how you develop a good healthy radar that separates objects from tolerance from subjects. Alright, so great socialization will be rolling on. I'm actually going to do quite a few videos because my roommate's out. So this is going to be like the first of maybe 4 videos I'm going to do, because like I have the ability to do it. I may as well not squander it. Anyways, alright. So next video I'm going to talk about more stuff that you can do physically to become more social. If you have if you have painful shyness and stuff like that, don't forget it's going to be geared towards heterosexual guys, because that's what I am and that's how I can relate to this content. It'll be way easier to present it, but I'm going to try and be as unbiased as possible. Alright, I'm out of here. Stay tuned for the next few videos. Peace.